Okay, that appears to be live. Hey there everyone, welcome to my channel, it's me Gamerturk, and it's been a very long time since we had a Sword Art Online Explained video, and this is not gonna be a video, this is a full-on live stream. The one I promised like 2 weeks ago. It's been a little over 2 weeks since the story trailer for Sword Art Online Last Recollection came out, where we saw the new goddesses, character reveals, enemies, and a whole bunch of stuff. It's a 3+ minute trailer, and the best way to, get those views is to do something 2 weeks later rather than when it's actually the hot topic, right? So that's exactly what we're gonna do in typical Gamerturk fashion, where I am extremely late, and without further ado, let's get into it. Feel free to ask your questions, and in fact, I'm gonna add a... In fact, I'm not gonna do that. Feel free to ask your questions. We're gonna have a Q&A session at the very end as well. And yes, Yuuki, in my opinion, has been fully confirmed, not even 99%, has been fully confirmed because of something they did at the end of this trailer that gives it away. But we're gonna go through the entire trailer, and we're gonna do it chronologically, so the Yuuki talk is also going to be towards the end, if you're watching this in the future. So without further ado, let me switch over to the trailer over here. And let's go. I'm gonna hope the voice levels are going to... Oh my god, I'm dying. My ears, Jesus. Okay, so right from the get-go... No, don't move forward. Wait, I am speaking trailer. So that right there, we literally open up with the dark territory. In fact, a majority of the visuals, if not all, that we see from this game, it's all in the dark territory itself. We have the camp scenes at the very beginning in the previous trailers and stuff, but we have so many different dark territory footages from all the trailers. So I'm curious how much of a ratio we'll have between the human empire and the dark territory. It's really cool that we're seeing dark territory, but the problem I have with it is that its geography, especially before War of Underworld, is not very varied. So I'm kind of worried if we'll have to spend a huge part of the game with purple skies, dark visuals, which is particularly bad because of their lighting on characters in these Sword Art Online games. So that's gonna be something. I already spoke way too much and I'm already complaining. This is why I do my explained videos normally with a script, not live. Hey there everyone. That's the Obsidia Palace in the back. Of course, our new character, Dorothy. The combat is very similar overall to Alicization Licorice, which is generally similar to the previous Aeria games. Again, this mostly feels like remaking their entire game in Unreal Engine. And also it's just random lines and stuff for the first portion, because this is not just the story trailer, it's gameplay and story trailer. And why are you disappointing me, VLC? Oh, that looks like a new enemy actually, compared to the previous ones we have seen, right? Ark, you're the Aeria expert, so you tell me in the chat whether that's a new enemy or not. I have never seen that one. Also, if you actually pay attention during the gameplay things portions, I'm trying to find the proper frame, but Kirito actually in his offhand finally using the Myosotis blade that we received in the first paid expansion of Alicization Licorice, which is good to see, a little bit of continuity, because even after we got it, we we didn't really have a chance to show it off. We still don't know what the blade does, by the way. For some DLCs that they focused on what makes a divine weapon, they sure didn't explain what Myosotis blade does. Hope we'll get a little bit more on that. Oh yeah, you can see it right there in the back. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor. I'm pretty sure you can't because I have it disabled. But on the shoulder in the back, one is the Night Sky Sword, the other one is the Useless Blade. Hey there, Val. Oh yeah, like some enemies are new, but technically just model swaps. Yeah, that is very often to do. It's just that, like we had the, what's it called? The Praying Mantis in one of the raids that looks like him, but actually standing up feels completely new from a rigging standpoint as well. That's why I mentioned. Shouldn't do so much back and forth, and I'm trying to go through this. Now I'm curious, this is Gabriel Miller speaking right here. I can tell you I've killed before. I wonder who he's speaking to, whether he actually gets proper scenes with Kirito. Technically, he has to get proper scenes with Kirito, right? So far, he's seemingly the main antagonist of the game. The game is not trying to pull some diversion so far based on the trailers we have seen, unlike previous games. So Gabriel Miller, much like War of Underworld, seems to be the main baddie, although I still expect the War of Underworld to drag on a whole lot longer compared to the main canon, rather than be done with in 2 days or something. We know Akuria, like, story will be long. They cannot have... The War of Underworld in the main canon will feel short compared to this. I'll put it that way. But right from the get-go, we are transitioning into the story portion, and as we have speculated in earlier trailers, yes, all the main girls, the ones that were present in Licorice, of course, are going to be fighting Pooh. I expect this to be quite early on, like maybe within the first act or something. They will be fighting Pooh, and they will be absolutely massacred. This is... I can't believe they properly put the scenes in the trailer as well. In the previous ones, all we have seen was a screenshot from above. But here, they actually show, like, Silica getting bodied there is... That's quite brutal. Look at that. Ouch. Lisbeth is just dying quite normally. Asuna is implied. They didn't actually show it on camera. Leafa's scene is actually... People made fun of Leafa running towards all the explodey stuff. But I actually really like this depiction because it mirrors her entire scenes in War of Underworld against the Red Army. You know, she's going against all the odds, and the only reason she survives there is because she's Terraria. Whereas her behavior is exactly the same here. The only difference is she's not Terraria, so she will end up dying in this case. I really like it. Like, I have no idea why people are making fun of this scene. It's quite a nice one. They didn't actually show Sinon dying, but yeah, she will. Who's that? I think that is the new character that they have with Dorothy and Sarai. I forgot his name. He's like a merchant guy who tags along. We'll see a screenshot as well. Let me hear that again. Yeah, I think he may be the dad of Sarai or some relation to Dorothy or something. I think we know he's gonna get killed as well at some point. Or something like that was implied. I may be remembering incorrectly from previous trailers. Yeah, we get a really nice look. I really like his eyes. They captured the eyes well. The snake-like eyes. It's good stuff. Oh, we actually get Pooh and Kirito. Where is that the Bluro sword? Yeah, that is the Bluro sword. Versus the meat chopper. Interesting. I wonder what happens to Yu-Gi-Oh to get to this point. Because technically we are supposed to have the Myosotis blade. It's even been shown before. But I think I want to check something else as well. I want to see Kirito's clothes. Okay, that is... Oh, he's one-handed wielding Blue Rose Sword as well. Interesting. And also the overall scene, I think this may be inside the Obsidia Palace. Maybe somewhere later down the line in the story. Before the actual war. As I said, I expect the story to be much longer than the canon War of Underworld. So we may be heading into the Obsidia Palace back at some point. We can see a lot of corruption within the Obsidia Palace as well. So this may be one of those scenes. Maybe one of the story reasons removes Kirito of his swords. And he has to... And something happened to Yu-Gi-Oh! So he is using the Blue Rose Sword instead. Could be. This might be the first time a major character dies in the Gameverse. I actually don't expect anyone major to die. I don't think that merchant dude that tags along with Sarai and Dorothy to be a major character. He's just a supporting cast for those crew. We can see Alice getting captured. Is that like Berkuli's kimono in the back? Because you can see polygons coming out of it. Or could just be fire and I can't see correctly because of the lacking bitrate of YouTube compression. Could be either way. But Alice is getting captured, so eventually we'll have that chase and stuff from the looks of it. That is, of course, our one and only Pooh, which is always great to have. Okay, that... Wait, I don't want to go this far yet. I will look at this later, but... Yeah, this is why this guy I'm talking about with Sarai and Dorothy, this is why I think I'm thinking he's gonna get killed. He's clearly trying to save or support Sarai and Dorothy in whatever it is that they're trying to do. And he is caught. He has betrayed the Dark Territory. Somehow, that is also a problem in and of its own, but maybe he also breaks the seal of the right eye. That's the right eye, that's the left one. Now this actually had my attention very early on. You can see Iskan having those red possessed like eyes. So maybe this ties into what we have seen in the Obsidia Palace earlier with the corruption. Or maybe it's just Pooh doing his mind control things. Who knows? I hope they don't portray it that way in the game as well. Yeah, this may actually be at some point where Sheta and Iskan are actually on good terms. And Iskan is just going berserk by being possessed by something. This scene really reminds me of Hollow Realization, DLC 2, where Tia falls down from the bridge and Kirito just jumps down to save her. That was one of the good scenes in Hollow Realization, despite the fact that their in-engine stuff was absolutely terrible back in Hollow Realization. Oh yeah, that's the bit. I really like that shot. We have Sarai, we have Dorothy, they're all together. I think they're journeying towards somewhere. And that's our guy who I think is going to die. Oh, we're gonna go into some images as well at the end that they revealed during that stream over 2 weeks ago because I'm very late. Yeah, there we go. That's our goddess arrivals. One thing I have just noticed, they likely haven't completed the animations because Asuna is not actually gripping the radiant light. Yeah. Why do I notice these things? Either way, one of the things people have mentioned early on that caused a lot of people to think that Lisbeth and Silica are not going to be goddess accounts is that, I'll get there in a bit, but the way real worlders phrase themselves, they know they are not the goddesses because they know the goddesses are a lie, a myth. So that's why they don't refer to themselves as goddesses, and they say they are just enacting the punishment of those goddesses. You will see that consistent across every single line they have. Like Asuna goes, by the creation god Stacia's decree, in her words, I am doing this, and the others do that as well. They are all super accounts as far as we know. In the name of sun god Solus, by the power of the Terraria, etc, etc. VLC, please stop doing that. This shot is really nice, I love that. All three goddesses together. Now this, we think all the 2D scenes are just going to be the opening animation. But I feel like they have to have scenes in between. They can't, like for major scenes, I still think we're gonna have something. It doesn't look like we're gonna have anima 3D anime cutscenes at all. But maybe, just maybe, I'm really hoping for some A1 cutscenes like Unleash Blading did. 60 to 90 second scenes in between for major events. I think that would be the best way to go. We still don't have any of that confirmed, so we're imagining these are all just part of the opening animation instead. Gonna be interesting. The line after... we haven't seen any of the Gamers heroines yet, right? No, we have not seen any of the Gamers heroines. But this being War of Underworld, Klein and Aguilar there using Emospheres with their ALO avatars, we know all of them are going to be in there. That's pretty much confirmed, don't worry about that. The line after the three goddesses, is that Renly? Sounds like it. It's a bit more passionate, and like passionate from the sense that the tone is creaking a bit. Renly usually doesn't shout that much, but who am I to say? That does sound like Renly. That's Berkuli. So, from the looks of it, that is her Stacia outfit, so they are already here, and much like in Licorice, other characters arrive a bit later compared to others, I guess. Maybe they are just chucking them back in as they die, so that may be the case. Or maybe because, does anyone remember, Ark, do you remember what they said in Licorice? Where do Lisbeth and Silica die from? I think that may be the reason, because Leafa and Sinon are on Ocean Turtle, right? So they likely plug them back in immediately alongside Asuna, whereas Lisbeth and Silica arrive a bit later because they are on the Roppongi branch, I'd imagine. I really like Lisbeth's general attire. Like, they have that Indian god-like things with the beads in the back. Kinda goes against Lisbeth. Like, when I think of Indian gods, I think of calm, tranquility. Not exactly the words I would describe Lisbeth with. Silica is just Silica. I really love Yu-Gi-Oh's super animation. He does the sword flip. I love the sword flip. Look at that majestic sword flip. Funny thing is... Wait, Klein, I'm gonna gush about you later. Funny thing is, he literally goes into the Warple Strike motion and then somehow slams it instead. Let me see that again. Yeah, like, did you see that? For a single frame, he's holding it as the Warple Strike thing. Like this. And then randomly just flips it around and slams it. You could have just brought it this way from the get-go. I can catch. There we go. Like you see, he already grabbed it in the Warple Strike motion, brought it up for Warple Strike. But no, that was a joke. Now I'm flipping it around and I'm gonna slam it down for enhanced armament. Or perfect weapon control, memory release, whatever. Good job, Klein. That actually reminds me of the Ordinal Scale scene from the very beginning against Kagachi the Samurai Lord. Very clear they are focusing on his guild leader persona. That's exactly what he did in Ordinal Scale as well. He attacks and then calls for the tanks to come in to save him. Well, not to save him, it's literally the switching motion, but... Greetings, I see we discussing how cool Kiri looks with a purple scarf. I haven't done that, but feel free to do so. Who am I to stop you, Limo? No, you can always gush about cute Kiri. The Kirito's incarnate Starburst stream animation is clean. That has become kind of a standard at this point. There we go, that's my Argo. That's my Argo, but they haven't shown him, her. Also, Egil's attack feels like Ordinal Scale as well. In Ordinal Scale 2, he's just coming down with Liz with the blunt weapon to slam, what was it, an incarnation of the Radius? By the way, I do think DIL is going to be an ally as well. We're going to talk about it in a bit. And with Argo going, you really think you can fight all of us? It's pretty clear we have a full-on ALO army at this point. So I'm kind of annoyed. Bandai, please, just change that U to a Ya at least. You need to imply that being Argo. If people have not seen Scherzo of Deep Night, I really don't expect anyone to understand who this is. And that's really kind of a shame. In Japanese text, you can immediately recognize Argo. Whereas in English subtitles, all of that is usually downgraded to changing a U into Ya. And here, they didn't even do that. Like, Bandai, come on. You can't do that much. Right? I still don't understand how she'll become an ally playable character. I'm assuming you're talking about DIL. I will talk about how that will very likely happen. Because there's a very clear path. I really love the passion in Iskan's voice. And you see his eyes are normal here. So there's definitely some possessing going on in the earlier one. There's Lipia. Also, a funny bit, I am really excited to see more of Lipia and Shasta in this game. Mainly because in the main canon, it is implied that Fanatio's insecurities are caused by Shasta himself. And my take on that is, Shasta didn't at all insult Fanatio when they met in the Dark Territory, when they clashed swords in the Dark Territory at some point. But what happened is, Fanatio simply reminded Shasta of Lipia, which prevented Shasta from actually going full on out against Fanatio. And since Fanatio has no idea about why Shasta is doing this, has no clue about who Lipia is, she just takes it as an insult. Oh, this person is not going full on out against me. Must be because I'm a female. He doesn't take me seriously, so I'm just gonna go insecure, hide my femaleness, femininity. Kind of a nice bit. I really do hope they have a little event between the trio of Fanatio, Lipia, and Shasta, and if they can clarify that, I'll be really, really happy. I'll be impressed with the writers for paying that much attention. Kinda disappointed about Alice's finisher skill, because we have seen Yu-Gi-Oh doing the sword flip and then bringing the sword down. We will have Starburst Stream with Kirito, but Alice simply seems to have just bring the sword to the side for enhanced armament and then guide them. The exact same animation as Licorice as far as we have seen so far. Kind of a disappointment. I would have expected, I don't know, something different. Oh yeah, that's like obviously there's a huge cut in the middle, but I really like the Kirito, stop yelling. I really like to bring the swords up and then taking them to the sides. That's the exact animation from War of Underworld when he's going for Gabriel Miller. I really like that move. Really flows so nice. I love it. And that's pretty much the standard slamming of Starburst Stream. Every single media has it. I think the first media that portrayed it that way was Ordinal Scale. I may be mistaken on that. Because Starburst Stream borderline fails against Gleam Eyes. Eclipse is used against Heathcliff. Starburst Stream is not used at all anywhere else in Season 2. And then, next up, we have Ordinal Scale, and that's where Ordinal Scale portrayal was very liberal as well, going everywhere on the screen. But the final blast, this iconic shot, that was first done in Ordinal Scale. Then, I'm pretty sure War of Underworld used it as well. And pretty much all the games used it. And I really love that. Like the specific move and flow of the skill, they pretty much perfected it at this point, and it's more or less uniform across all media. If the Alo army appears, do you think Lux might appear? I don't think Lux will appear, mainly because she's too much of an obscure character, and this is not an Alo game. And I don't think they will go that far just for a cameo appearance for a series that has long ended already. Okay, so this shot is important because this key visual is the reason why Yuuki has been officially confirmed to be in the game. Now, I'm gonna make this a little smaller so my face is not blocking it. I have made something else smaller and I have no idea what I messed up with. Okay, we're gonna change. Sorry about that. There we go. So this is the key visual for Sword Art Online Last Recollection, the most recent key visual that has been expanded to the sides. Now, for a full-sized version, I need to bring that up somewhere. Okay. Just give me a second. My desktop is an absolute mess and it's really hard to find things. Okay, there we go. So, this is the full-sized key visual that I grabbed from the official website of Sword Art Online Alicization Licorice. They always put the full-sized key visuals on the website after they have been revealed in trailers or streams or whatever. It's drawn by Abeshi. We have Aeria Silica over here. We have Ignia Lisbeth. We have Yuuki. We have Alice. We have Kirta and Asuna. We have Dorothy and Sarai. We have Sinon and Leafa as Terraria and Solus. And then, usually when they put these on the website, it is the full key visual. Like on trailers, they may obscure things just to put some overlays here and there. That's a very common practice. But when it is on the website, they always have the full version of the key visual. Because it's the full image that they upload. If you look at this, you will immediately see what I'm referring to. We have a huge obstruction over here on the right side, the same as the trailer visual. That is very suspicious. It is almost the same place as Lisbeth over here in terms of size. It is very carefully obstructing. Like it's not even a single line to cover it up. Why would you do that? Because, and with that we're going back to this visual from the trailer where they have not cropped it properly. That was a big mistake on the... I don't know if that was a mistake or that was intended for people to actually suspect and realize eventually. Because these things, you'll be surprised how many leaks or mistakes actually are on purpose to get people talking. Let's zoom in. Zoom and enhance. 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 And oh my god, what is that bit right below Leafa's elbow? Does that sound familiar? Because technically it should. I will give you a second while I grab my own picture real quick. You ready? I know I am. Who has an ahoge just like that? That has not been hidden on the key visual in the trailer. It is, of course, Yuuki herself. Now the thing is, I initially expected that to be blocking Yui, because I thought it would be very appropriate to have Yui appear as the Goddess of Dreams, Lunaria herself. I'm not calling her Goddess of Moon because Moon actually doesn't exist in Underworld. Future spoilers. But this pretty much confirms that Yuuki will be appearing in the game. And if the general theming of the key visual is anything to go by, where aside from Alice, Yuuki, Dorothy, Sarai, and Kirito, everyone else is a goddess. And especially the frames themselves featuring goddess characters. I think it is very much safe to assume Yuuki, who is with this ahoge bit, who is guaranteed to appear in the game, in my opinion, will be appearing as the Goddess of Dreams, Lunaria. So we always joke and laugh about how Lunaria is always forgotten in the story, where she's only mentioned literally once or twice in War of Underworld. The one instance I recognize is when Yuuki wakes up from the nightmare Quinella has given him. He wonders why Lunaria has given him that dream. And the second instance is from Moon Cradle when Kirito and Ronya are talking about the moon, Lunaria itself. And aside from that, there's literally no references. So in this game, we may actually be getting some recognition for Lunaria in the end. So rejoice. Either you wanted to see what Lunaria is, or if you're a Yuuki fan, this is, I can imagine this being huge for you. Save your questions. I will get there in a second, but that pretty much finishes the trailer explained portion of this last recollection stream. I will quickly go over to individual images that have been revealed 2 weeks ago along with this live stream. We're gonna go through one by one. So, oh, actually I will start with this one. It's a very cool shot. Can I actually make this fit the screen again? That looks really bad in the back. Folder transform. Fit to screen. There we go. Yeah, you look like that. Okay. So I grabbed this one from the website. It's a really cool shot of Gabrielle Miller in the Obsidia Palace. This was showcased in one of the earlier trailers as well, but with the Parasite screen effect, so it wasn't looking good. This is in much better shape. I like this. And he is actually given a proper sword as the god account Vecta, because if you remember, he didn't actually have a sword. He just conjured his own gun. That's just how he rolled in the main canon. Okay, now we are going into the images. To make the screen larger because it takes me too long to find the images I'm looking for. The first one, we have Kirito and Yujiro having an arm wrestling contest with Egil looking very interested. And you can see in the background all the all the pugilists are cheering someone. I imagine they're cheering Yujiro because Kirito seems worried, Egil seems worried. I don't know. With that, I shall move. I literally have nothing else to say on this one. So, we have the gender equality shot. People assumed Kirito here is getting attacked by DAL. And we're now getting to that portion where I am just going to say, I think DAL is going to be an ally in the game. And this scene, it's not DAL attacking Kirito, but they are having... It's a character event, obviously, because it's a gallery image. I think all of these are character events. Only one or two are main story, I would imagine. They are having a sparring session, or Kirito is like trying to help DAL as being an experiment, a sparring partner of some sense. And so nothing serious is happening, it's just DAL messing with Kirito in a training session, in my opinion. Now, it was Ark who asked how could that even be? You see, in War of Underworld, the reason DAL can do the amount of things that she does, it's because Shasta, who is technically her superior, has been defeated by Emperor Vecta, who they are now following. In the Gameverse, I would imagine Shasta will absolutely live. Like, no questions otherwise. Lipia will also live, but the main person of interest here is Shasta. And with Shasta alive, DAL cannot break free all that much. Shasta is still the most powerful person, aside from Emperor Vecta. And then we get to the point where War of Underworld, the story in Last Recollection, it's going to take a whole lot longer. It is not just going to be a 2-day little war battle. I am absolutely thinking that Alice is going to be captured, but the entire plot is going to go somewhere else, where the entire Dark Territory will start realizing, oh, this Emperor Vecta person, god of darkness Vecta, that is not their superior. That is someone who has come from the outside world. That is not the Vecta they worship or believe in. And that will break their authority chains completely. Shasta is going to be highest ranking person in the Dark Territory in general. And that's when the entire Dark Territory will just unite with the Human Empire to fight against Emperor Vecta and their armies. This was already partially happening in the main canon War of Underworld as well, where people like pugilists and at some point orcs, I believe, were clearly aligned with the Human Empire as well, fighting against the Red Army. In the game, we're just gonna have a much more larger scale showcase of this, if you ask me. So the entire Dark Territory and the Human Empire will already start working together. And now that I realize, this may actually tie in very nicely to post-story DLCs, because the entire point of... I'm not going to go into deep spoilers, just going to give you an overview. The entire point of Mooncradle is that these two worlds after the war, they are really working hard with Iskan and the Human Empire Unification Council. They put in an immense amount of effort to bring these two different populaces together, whereas if they actually manage to work together in this version of War of Underworld, that may speed up the process a lot, and we may have some really nice original stuff as the post-campaign DLC content that's going to come down later down the line, rather than something like Mooncradle. They're going to have a much stronger bond because they fought side by side the entire populace on both sides. So I think that may actually lead to really cool potential avenues to go for. So now we're gonna move on to the next one. We have a nice scene of... Oh my mind just went blank. Sheta and Iskan going up against each other. They seem to be in a Coliseum, so I don't think this is their War of Underworld meeting, but somewhere down the line, maybe they are... But Sheta still has the Black Lily sword. I don't expect them to change it, like, from the main canon. I still think the Black Lily sword will disappear, because that is so integral to... That's symbolic for Sheta growing out of her supposed curse. So I think they'll keep that symbolic gesture. So this may actually be earlier on in the story. Maybe that can tie in with the fact that the entire beginning of the story is about the Dark Territory. Shasta is sending an envoy to talk about peace before Vecta arrives on that side. So this may tie in with those earlier portions of the conflict where the two are just gauging each other. So maybe a lot of the War of Underworld stuff is going to be different overall. I kind of doubt we'll get something like Mooncradle, given we know the only story stuff in this DLC is heroine episodes. Oh wait, what do you mean? Have they confirmed such a thing? I don't think they said anything about the contents of the DLCs themselves. 200 years might be a DLC. There is no 200 years of War of Underworld story anywhere, so don't expect a DLC like that. If they're gonna tell a story, it's gonna be a contained story. While I wait for an answer from Ark, I'm just gonna move on to the next illustration. Yeah, go to the website. They've confirmed the content of the premium pass. Can you send me a link on Discord so I'll bring it up on stream? So this one, I expected to be during the story. It feels like Klein and Egil have just arrived. They pushed off a wave of enemies, and now Yujo is just coming to terms with the fact that Kirito, in fact, also has male friends. And you can see how shocking it is on his face. He absolutely cannot believe that Kirito has male friends. Oh, you mean the premium pass bonuses, not the DLC story content themselves? Like, when you put it the way you did earlier in the chat, Ark, I literally thought the DLC story is going to be heroine story. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're just going to approach it very, very much the same as they did with Hollow Realization. Remember? When we had the DLCs, each DLC also came with 3 to 4 heroine quests back in that game too. I would definitely expect something along those lines. Like, DLC will have a meaty story, not just heroine story. Where's your iced tea? Glad you asked, Dragon. It's in SAO chat. Okay, I'll go there once we go through all the images. Okay, you see, that's one of the that's one of the changes I didn't expect. They really turned the tables on this one. Fanatio and Sigurosig working together to collect apple peaches or whatever they are in Underworld. That's a really nice shot. You could have made Fanatio have a little bit more of expression if you ask me, but nothing much to say otherwise. The next one is an interesting one. That is, it looks like they're having a field trip or an actual class of Swordcraft Academy within the Dark Territory. Because that's Lipia, DIL, and what was her name? Lilpilin and I can't remember her name. No, I had it. Anyways, that's Lilpilin's brother, the princess of the orcs. If anyone remembers the name, please do tell me in the chat because I feel embarrassed for not remembering. But they all having a very chill and happy class of Swordcraft Academy within the Dark Territory. The sky is still red, so War of Underworld has not concluded, as far as I can tell. Oh, yeah, interesting. Can we talk about that tree over there? That is actually well pointed out, actually, because in the Dark Territory there really shouldn't be a grown tree. Interesting. Well pointed out, Dekozagu. I don't think that is the poo tree that Kirito creates, but I can't think of anything else either. It's kind of the problem. Maybe we defeat Pooh and then we don't immediately go after Gabriel. There are more things happening. And that is actually the Pooh tree. Could be. Could be. It's like the scene looks too chill to be in such a... I really don't know. Interesting. I will definitely look forward to that in the game to learn what it is. It's probably a random tree DIL created. Could be, but why would she create a tree? Like, that would be another question. It could very well be something very, very, very insignificant like that, yes. But it was an interesting thing to point out. We have the Terraria shot. I still can't remember the name of the orc. It's like at the tip of my tongue. Lenju. Lenju or Renju, both are fine. I'll go with Lenju. Finally. Like, I have the exact scene in mind playing right from the anime, the way Lilpilin is crying after her, but I can't I couldn't come up with the name itself. Oh yeah, they are really having fun with the flowers and stuff. Nothing to say really, it's a really nice and cheerful shot, I like it. But I have literally zero context. To make the atmosphere more like a school? Could be. Again, it can be something extremely insignificant. Okay, here it seems like a war reconnaissance or something, because the lights you see down below are either ashes or fire, or just lights from the building, or depicting the the sacred energy, spatial resources coming from the dead down below during the war. Could be anything. I'm just pulling stuff out of my backside just to provide reasonable context. But Kirito looks worried. Sinon looks towards, I don't know, she's not happy, I can say that much. So it's definitely a reconnaissance session or something. When will we be able to pre-order Last Recollection on PlayStation 5? We actually don't know, because the funny thing is, just a second, I'll set the next image and then do it. Because the trailer itself, Bandai Namco US shared the trailer a couple hours before Japan did, and they explicitly said, pre-order now. It's available now. So I don't know, let me check. Store.playstation.com. Of course, I go to the German website because I'm in Austria. I hate that. Let's see. I get Hollow Realization, Alicization Licorice, Lost Song, Fatal Bullet. Last Recollection says announced, but it is not available for pre-order. In fact, on the official PlayStation website, it doesn't even have an official release date, and that's why you can't pre-order it, apparently. So I don't know what's going on with that. Do let me know if it's pre-orderable on other services. Yeah. Who knows? I actually haven't heard much from Bandai Namco about Last Recollection in the first place. Like, it has been very minimal things that they have shared so far. Okay, so we have a... But you see, all of these shots, these still feel like the Dark Territory. Like, this doesn't feel like human empire architecture here. Back to being screen in the back. This feels very much like Dark Territory architecture. But the thing is, in this shot at the very least, there is a whole lot more lighting. Everything is not purple and stuff, or dark. So maybe this is after war? Or it's just a custom background that doesn't care. Also could be. And then I believe this is going to be the last shot. Yeah, it's just the typical Kirito and Asuna, beautiful illustration. Nothing to say on this one. That CG looks incomplete, you said about the Sinon one, the previous one. I mean, you wanna go look back at Hollow Realization CGs? Where they mainly used completely empty backgrounds from their 3D environment. This feels more or less the same. So I have no reason to believe this is like not complete. Okay, now, Arc, by the way, remind me what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to look at the DLC content you mentioned. Said in SAO stuff. Premiere Pass. I'm pretty sure I covered this in This Week in SAO, or where I covered the entire news, but let's do it again, shall we? Okay, I'm gonna change this into second monitor, so we'll just capture the second monitor instead. Okay, come up. There we go. Go away, Sinon. Okay, so that's the official website. Very handy trick. If you're using a Chrome or Chromium based browser, you can right click and translate to English. Incredibly helpful if you don't know Japanese. Otherwise, if you have a phone, you can download Google Lens and just track the entire screen, and that will live translate as well while you're at it. Okay, Premiere Pass for Last Recollection. You can purchase additional Heroine Content 1 and additional Heroine Content 2. That will be distributed for a fee in the future as a set. Contents of the Premiere Pass. Huh. It actually doesn't mention a story. Interesting. What do they call it in Japanese? Heroine. Yeah, it is heroine content. Huh. I will be very disappointed if we don't have a proper story for the DLCs. Because when you say additional heroine content, that feels very much like... I don't want to say anything bad about it, because heroine content, they have done very great job in things like Hollow Realization. But on its own, it doesn't feel... It's not main content, it is side content. So I'm interested what's going on here. I do not like the phrasing at all. I mean, it's gonna be extremely weird if they add the Gameverse heroines as DLC as well. I would just expect them to be free characters from the base game for War of Underworld portion. That will be incredibly disappointing. Especially since the taste we have left in the mouth being... What was it called? The Arcane Arsenal quest with the Gameverse Wayfarers. That was really not a nice quest chain. But yeah. I don't know. I really do hope that what they call heroine content will be proper story and not just introducing the Gameverse heroines or something like that. Like, give us heroine stories from Hollow Realization on that level of quality. But again, they are side content. The way I see it. On another note, if the Premiere Pass will have proper story content, I'd say heroine content is a terrible way of branding it, given previous usages of the term. I'll put it that way. Now, anything else I have missed? Oh yeah, you guys are getting with Premiere Pass. Someone asked, why pre-order Last Recollection? Oh, you said why pre-order Last Recollection, not DLC? I don't know, man. Like, if you enjoy a game, you usually show support by pre-ordering. That's literally a personal preference. Initially I thought, but why pre-order digital content? I do understand that perspective, because it technically does not run out. It is digital content, so you don't have to pre-order and reserve your copy. But why pre-order Last Recollection? If you want to have the game immediately on release, you pre-order, especially with digital content. Now, actually, there is a reasonable benefit of pre-ordering the games. That is because you can get pre-downloads, especially in the current gen era with PS5 and Series X. You can get games like 100, 150 gigabytes, and more often than not, ISPs are absolutely terrible. So there is a huge benefit. If you know you will play and enjoy the game, there's a huge benefit of pre-ordering games digitally, even digitally, to download early and play day one the moment they go live at midnight, or whenever they're gonna go live. Things are a bit more iffy with SAO games. But yeah, that was my answer. You can ask your questions now. We are done with the explained portion of the thing. So I am now literally just answering questions. Can I set this to loop? So it just loops. Where's the loop button there? Okay, put that to loop. Back over here. And just keep replaying on loop. Thank you, VLC. Very helpful. I will hope the visuals will keep you entertained as I answer your questions. As far as I'm aware, at least they haven't clarified whether they are pre-order bonuses or early purchase bonuses. We actually don't know whether some Japanese bonuses are going to come over to the West at all. That's an entirely different topic. Again, Bandai Namco Western divisions have been very quiet and unclear about Last Collection in general. Once things get closer, I will start pestering them a bit more on Twitter. But I really do hope they will clarify some things compared to Japan. Have they confirmed they are pre-order bonuses, Ark? Because early purchase is usually an incredibly vague term. Like, unless we're getting a specific code with our pre-order thingies, or an additional license, they tend to give those stuff out for things like, if you log in the first month because it's server validated, you'll get the things. So we'll have to wait and see. Do you think we will see Yui in Last Collection? As I mentioned earlier, I actually expected her to be Lunaria, not Yuuki. But I do believe we're gonna see Yui in Last Collection. I don't remember specifically, but Saint Neos, a friend from Sword Art Online subreddit, has mentioned that we heard Yui's voice in the previous trailer, in the second trailer, I believe. I don't know, I didn't personally validate it. But if she is gonna log in into Underworld, we will definitely get to see her. If not, then probably not. Because I don't expect to have real world scenes in the game. I really want to see some real world stuff from the Sword Art Online games though. Like, the only game that did it, funnily enough, was a Lost Song. I am not including the ending scenes of Hollow Fragment. Lost Song was the only one who created the proper connection between the game and the real world events. I really like that, and I always hoped they would eventually do more of that, but they never do it. Just do it. You're using visual novel style for those anyways. You're not creating an entire game world for the real world. Just draw 1 or 2 gallery images and give us real world scenes. Shouldn't be too hard. Do you think that Yuuki is coming as a goddess playable? If you rewind a bit, one of the main reasons of this live stream was literally talking about Yui quite long. So I think I covered all of that. You already heard Yui's voice in a trailer before. Okay, that pretty much confirms it then. The thing of, they will most likely will, since on Steam they give it to the Japanese players, everyone on Steam will get it. So at that point they'd be better off releasing it worldwide. I sure do hope so. But you all know how certain things go. Like, some things we get in Europe, you guys don't even get in the US. So that global branches function way too differently, and it's rarely nice. It's rarely the reasonable thing to do, because there's so much red tape they have to go through in a huge corporation filled with huge bureaucracy. Last Recollection is the last game. Yes, it is now the last game. Licorice was supposed to be the last game, and Yosuke Futami was quite adamant about how Licorice was going to be the last game, even after the second paid DLC of Licorice, Matricaria. He was on Twitter like, this is the end of the journey, and then he started replying to us, to all players, that, oh, but there may be more of the journey, it doesn't mean this is particularly the end. The good thing about Japanese is that the Japanese language is that it is so context dependent, and you're technically speaking on such vague terms that you can get away with a lot of stuff that you wouldn't be able to, especially in English. We can do that in Turkish as well, so I do know the mentality. We can omit an incredible amount of specifics and come up with a vague statement that is very much a valid statement. But it may not always mean what you think it means. I still think it's a bit of a cop-out, the way they advertised Licorice and then came up with Last Recollection. They didn't need to commit to the statement that Licorice is the final story of the Gameverse. They didn't need to commit to it that much in marketing, if that was the case. And they knew it was the case based on the way they're talking about the development cycles of these games. Take care, Ark. I will be wrapping up the stream in maybe 5-10 minutes, as long as questions are coming. Take care, though. When do you think the pre-release demo they confirmed would happen in Japan come to West? Did the Licorice demo ever come to West? Do let me know, because I do not know. Generally speaking, I wouldn't expect Japanese content to come over to the West like that. The demos and trials. Japan will also very likely have the Beaters access, where they will unlock the game 3 days earlier for, I don't know, Premium Pass people or something. That usually gets revealed later down the line. Nothing has been said so far. That never happens in the West either. So a lot of people here in the West, Ark, one of those people, usually grabs that from the Japanese store and gets into the game 3 days earlier. Do you think there will be any future DLC maybe next year? Yes, they have confirmed 2 DLCs as part of the Premium Pass. That's all we know so far. If Yui is in the game, how do you think she and Cardinal will interact with each other? I really have no idea. Never thought about it. Cardinal will probably recognize what Yui is based on what she knows. But I think that's pretty much the extent of it. They both technically know each other, so there isn't much interesting things to do with them in that sense, in my opinion. The real question is Last Recollection really the last game? It's never the last game until it actually ends up being the last game, as proven by history. I still think they will eventually get into United Ring. If the progressive movies were to continue, I would definitely expect a progressive themed game. But that is not the case, with the next movie being an original movie, not progressive. So I think we will either have original SAO games, because I don't think they will stop making SAO console games. It's just that it's very much referring to the end of a saga, in my opinion. About the continuous story, that is. I mean, the questions are actually coming. Okay, thanks for asking questions. I need to answer a bit faster, though. I didn't expect this much. Is Licorice going to be chapter-based? Probably. That's how all the games have been. It's literally quest flags going one after the other. Chapter is just an arbitrary bookmarking of that content. I actually believe that Licorice was the last game. Now I don't know if I can believe that this one is the last game. Same here, man. But even when... like... I did make an 8-10 minute video back when that was the news. Because it was the news. Like they said it. Licorice is going to be the last game in the Gameverse. This is the last story in the saga. And even in that video I said... even then, take it with a grain of salt. Because they can still do a whole lot of things, and that may not be a conclusive statement. If I remember correctly, I provided 3 different possibilities. Just making original games, continuing the Fatal Bullet protagonist with a Fatal Bullet 2 as a separate branch, or even retroactive games, because they said this is the last story of the SAO Gameverse, and then they can go back and all that kind of stuff, you know. Even then, we all took it with a grain of salt as is. And when do you think United Ring is going to be released? Do you mean as an anime? Do you mean as a game? Because United Ring is already released, has 6 volumes released so far, and it's still continuing with no end in sight. So don't expect an anime in the next 5 years. Don't expect a game anytime soon, because we're getting Last Recollection at the moment. Are they going to make progressive movies until they reach novel 9? No, they are not. The next Sword Art Online movie is going to be an original movie. I strongly recommend you check the news on the channel on that. Really hope Edith's story. I would not be surprised if Edith is not in the game at all. Much like how 99% of Licorice's lifespan went. And even when she was included, she was almost not included at all. Funny stuff. Hope in the DLC Last Recollection Edith will appear along other mobile verse characters. I wouldn't expect mobile game characters at all. Edith is still a possibility to appear, but I would not hold my breath. United Ring waiting copium rating. So many people, man. I keep saying every single time, do not hold your breath for United Ring. It is very long in the light novels, still no end in sight after 6 volumes of United Ring, and it is going to directly tie into Interintelligence War stuff from the looks of it. So it will take even longer. So even when I say, don't hold your breath for the next 5 years, I've been saying 5 years for the past 3 or 4 years. And that's because if we're going to start seeing an end of the story approaching, we will recognize that from sometime earlier, and then we will be able to see, okay, you can start expecting it in like 3 years maybe, an announcement. But right now there's no end in sight, and as long as there is no end in sight visible, I will continue to say 5 years. If there's still no end in sight in 5 years, I will still say at least 5 years. Because that's not changing. To give you a number, I need to be able to see the story approaching an end. And even then, that's a personal assumption. There is no guarantee that they will immediately start turning it into an anime, you know? There's also that bit. Ordinal scale game, there hasn't been one yet. Yeah, they can do ordinal scale. It's just the ordinal scale hype has been long gone. And the problem with ordinal scale now is that Sayaka Kanda has passed away, the voice of Yuna. And generally speaking, Japan does not like recasting voice actors, especially if that voice actor is synonymous with certain characters. They see it as a way of respecting the legacy of a performer. So if you had asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I would definitely say they can go back and do an ordinal scale game. But as things stand, I don't think an ordinal scale game is on the menu at all. Do you think we get to play or see more of Pooh in Last Recollection? You will definitely not get to play as Pooh because he's going to be an antagonist, but you will definitely get to see more of him in the game. Do you think Philia and the others are returning and future DLC character next year along with both Yuuki and Yui? Again, we talked about Yuuki and Yui, and I'm pretty sure I talked about DLC characters as well. Like, rewind a bit. I talked a lot about it. I think the reason Last Collection will be the final because Reki wanted to conclude the game was Kawara Reki does not have that kind of control on the Gameverse stories at all. In fact, that's his own choice. He went on record when commenting on Alicization Licorice, and they were doing interviews with Futami and Miki Kazuma, the editor of Sword Art Online. Reiki went on record stating he has a supervision role for these games, but he doesn't want to read the scripts at all because he wants to see and play the game himself when it releases. That's the level of control Reiki Kawara says he has on the games. So take that as you will. GGO's story with Itsuki still not ended yet? It has. The Mask of the Abyss explicitly stated he was working for Wrath to build Underworld. And that was it. That story is complete. If you ask me, Unital Ring is just a repeat of Infinity Moment, Hollow Fragment, and Hollow Realization, because I'm seeing a pattern here. Sure, it's a Minecraft plot, but it's like Doom to canon Accel World. I do not exactly understand what you're saying. Sorry. What if the GGO spin-off characters appear in Last Recollection? GGO characters have appeared in Fatal Bullet. If they will include GGO characters in War of Underworld as well in this game, I am pretty sure they will appear. They are quite the popular characters and have a very dedicated fan base on that front. I would at least expect cameos from them. I find it hilarious they didn't appear as a cameo in the main canon anime. It was kind of a missed opportunity if you ask me, but I think they were not allowed to because Sixawa has not said anything about the War of Underworld situation in his own AGGO books, so they were not allowed to bring them over without confirmation on that side. Nah, your OC will not appear. No, don't expect that. Will you go to Japan to play the new SAOLR event game? The Anomaly Quest? My dude, to go to Japan, I will need to have like 10, maybe 100 times the amount of members and patrons that I have right now. So, you know, if you want to support such a journey, maybe happening in a couple years' time, do start becoming a member about now. With the size that my channel is, absolutely not a possibility. You know, becoming a channel member, using super chats, or even going and checking channel merch, they are always incredibly helpful for the channel. So if you want to support the channel, I will not support you and will love you for it. Thank you. You think they might make Warriors game use SAO? I wish they would. I think that's a perfect idea. I just don't think it will. Do you think it could just be the last game revolving around Kirito and they can just make another game around the custom character you make? Sure. As I said, Fatal Bullet 2 or something that continues that thread, it's always a possibility. I don't think it will be the last game. It's more likely to think of it as the end of the Gameverse, as I said. Okay, the questions are repeating themselves way too often. So I think this is a safe time to wrap up the stream. Again, I hope you enjoyed this explained live stream. And I will see you all in the next one on Monday, as usual, with This Week in SAO. Do subscribe. Do like the live stream and other videos. I have a lovely Suzume review. I strongly do recommend you go out to your local cinema and watch Suzume. It's an absolutely beautiful movie. And aside from that, channel members, super chat, very helpful. And until next time, stay cool. Bye bye.